approve the committee report based on the resolution as amended that we adopted last hearing, no? Which is to simply naman urge the NTC to suspend the operations of SOARA. So based on its violations of their franchise, may I just be allowed to ask some clarificatory questions?
Yes, please.
So this is to SMNI.
Please take note, Attorney Tolentino. There are clarificatory questions to be asked by the Honorable Mig Sugrales.
So in our previous hearings, we already established that SOARA SOG is actually a monopoly. Kita naman po natin sa pie chart na nilabas po of the Kingdom of Jesus. And as well, with any of the lawyers, it's part of your due diligence to know the membership of the major stockholder of your corporation, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
May I know how many members the Kingdom of Jesus has today?
The Kingdom of... no? I cannot answer that, Mr. Chair. I am the lawyer of SMNI, not the executive pastor
You
of the
just mentioned
Kingdom of
earlier
Jesus Christ.
it's part of your due diligence, diba? Sinabi mo may due diligence as every lawyer to know
I'll try
the
to answer,
membership.
Mr. Chair, to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Chair. But to be honest, Mr. Chair, I have no personal knowledge to the number of members. But I know it's about more than millions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Well, I did my due diligence. So, meron naman po kayong website. Pakita po na lang natin yung screenshot ng website.
Okay. May we have the screenshot?
So, it says in the screenshot of the website where Pastor Kibulo is there, no? You have 7 million worldwide, no? And congregations in Asia, North America, South and Central America, Europe, Africa, and Australia. So, ang laki, 7 million followers worldwide, members worldwide. And sobrang laki niyan. On what occasions, Mr. Chair, do these members get together?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I am not a member of that church, so I have no personal knowledge. I am just a lawyer of SMNI, Mr. Chair. I am not the lawyer of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. But I admit, Mr. Chair, that Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy is my friend, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Since dinidiin hindi niya sinasagot po. Okay. So since dinidiin naman po yung corporation soul dahil gusto niya tayong turuan, no? In 2006, when you converted from a non-stock corporation to a corporation soul, how many members would you have back then? How many members did you have back then?
As a corporation soul, Mr. Chairman, from the word soul, there's only one person involved, Mr. Chair, holding the properties of the corporation as a trustee per section 108 of the
Mr. Chair, I'm
Corporation
asking
Code.
about the members ng
No, we have to understand. This is one person representing
a religious sector.
a religious
Yes,
sector.
Mr. Chair.
Ilan yun?
That's why, Mr. Chair, I have no personal knowledge with respect to the numbers, but I can give estimate, Mr. Chair,
Which
more
is?
than millions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, more than
7
millions.
million, more or less, but it includes also the sympathizers, Mr. Chair, worldwide, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's in 2006, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So, let's just say, what's 2/3 of 7 million, Mr. Chair?
7 million, 2/3?
Yes.
That's around 4 million.
Around 4 million. Okay.
Yes.
And when you amended your AOI from a non-stock to a corporation soul, were you able to convene these 4 million members from all around the world?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest that there was no amendment from stock to corporation soul, Mr. Chair.
Bakit?
Per record, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Can we show na lang po the GIS that you in your certificate of filing of amendment of articles of incorporation didn't you change from your non-stock to a corporation sole? Napaulit-ulit yung binibigyan ng 'di ba? Nilalabas corporation sole. Ngayon, are you recanting? What is the good lawyer recanting now that there's no corporation sole? There's no amendment? Parang nililito po tayo, Mr. Chair, so I just can we
Attorney, I think
please
that's a
clarify?
misdeclaration. Your statement earlier with this document.
So based on my personal knowledge, Mr. Chair,
We're not asking. This is a document that you
These are
submitted.
documents already. I mean, alam po ninyo, pag sinabi yung tingnan nyo na yung dokumento para maging tugma.
Anyway, so kita naman po natin may dokumento na they submitted, no? So again, 2/3 of the membership, you have 7 million and an estimate is 4 million. And now you're saying you don't know how they convened or whatsoever. Walang pictures of this milestone to have 4 million. It's such a big, diba, event all over the world.
So may I know the question, Mr. Chair?
The
Do you
question
have
is,
any proof
do you have
that,
any proof that you've
you know,
convened?
the membership?
That is an estimate, Mr. Chair.
No.
I attended-
No, we're talking of any proof that you convened.
Yes. Because as stated here in your certificate of filing of amended articles of incorporation, which you submitted to the SEC and you submitted to Congress as part of your repertorial requirements, on November 8th, you got the vote of at least 2/3 of the members of the corporation, right?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
And this is to amend to make
I am the
it a corporation. So
Attorney.
I only answered that, Mr. Chair, that I'm not the lawyer of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ. I am the lawyer of SMNI, Mr. Chair. I have no personal knowledge about the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, Mr. Chair.
But I have a question. Don't you think you should have some working knowledge about this, since this you're representing SMNI, of which the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the sole corporation, is part of, or majority of? I
Due
mean, how
diligence
can you
lang po
detach
yun.
yourself from that argument, di ba? Na dapat hindi ko kayo pwede magtago ron eh.
Yes,
Kasi with due diligence yan. As a lawyer, you come here, you're supposed to come here prepared and have the answers. And you can't waste the time of all the resource persons, and including the members of Congress.
Sorry for that, Mr. Chair.
Yes, that's why, if you keep on saying that you are not, I mean, you should, boss, third hearing na po natin to. You should be prepared to answer these questions already. Tapos, there's another lawyer that comes in just to deliver a letter. So, I mean, I don't understand. You have to be able to answer these questions. The question of the Honorable Nograles is, do you have any photo to show that the executive of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the sole corporation, convened? Because as per the amended articles, you did convene. Attorney Rolex, baka kayo may sagot.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
We have discussed this when questions would touch on the executive pastor of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ, the name above every name, Inc.
Yes.
We only have the certificate of filing of amended articles for 2023 and the other one, the previous one, 20.
Mr. Chair, since they're
20,
dodging.
22.
Yes, you still have the floor. Go ahead.
Your Honor,
So are you able to answer the question, Attorney
we are
Rolex?
engaged only by SMNI, Your Honor. And later on, during the
But-
second hearing, we agreed to be lawyers for Ms. Badoy and Mr. Celis, but not for the executive pastor, Your Honor. This is a
Yes,
different
but you know,
entity.
these are already amendments to the incorporation, the corporation that controls the SMNI. Now, hindi po dapat alam niyo ang sagot ito?
Your Honor,
how
the late-
how can you say that you don't have working knowledge and come here and we talk about this? How can there be an intelligent discussion with the resource persons?
Mr.
And how
Chair,
can you defend SMNI
Your Honor,
if you do not know a basic question as far as this particular sole corporation?
with due respect, Your Honor, we are called here to answer for, one, the alleged 1.8 billion travel expenses expenditures of the Speaker. Number two, the red tagging allegedly made in a program in SMNI.
Well,
Mr.
very
Chair,
good, Attorney
Mr.
Rolex.
Chair.
But
I do
would
not have
I would-
any knowledge on what happened in 2006 when
But
the vote was taken, with due respect, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, please.
Attorney, ganito na po yan. You're also
Yes, Your
called here to defend SMNI. And in SMNI, there is a sole corporation of this nature. That's why we're just asking you, you cannot escape from the fact that this has to be part of your job, to be able to justify their very existence. You cannot say that hindi po ako abogado niyan. Then, pwede nyo sabihin, lahat yan, di ako abogado except SMNI. Ang problema, marami hong tao at maraming korporasyon nagkocontrol ho dun sa SMNI eh. So, kailangan Hindi po dapat. I mean, if there was a reversal, kayo po nakaupo rito at ako po dyan, at ako po yung abogado, hindi ba dapat? Alam ko rin yan.
Definitely, the view there is better than the view here, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. At least we're clear, Attorney Rolex.
Mr.
But you know,
Chair.
I once sat over there for 9 years, Your
I
Honor.
know, and I used to watch you. And I knew you would ask questions like this too. Okay? At di nyo pinaparusot yung mga resource persons pag hindi tama yung sagot. The Honorable Nograles.
Mr. Chair, klaro ko lang
Thank
po,
you, Your Honor.
no, sanabi po kasi ni Attorney Suplico na they're being called here for, yung mga red tagging,
Oo.
sa agenda A. Sa agenda B tayo, we're talking about the resolution here.
Yes.
To clarify lang po. And which you are still also the lawyers for SMNI on this resolution, which is simply to urge NTC to suspend because of violations of your franchise. Correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay. So, iklaro po natin, let's not mislead right now what's happening. Hindi naman po ako yung nag-file nun. Pinag-uusapan natin ang resolution na final ko to urge NTC to suspend if we find nga violations. Okay. And in any case, since they did not do their due diligence as lawyers, there is Section 114 of the Revised Corporation Code. And nandito naman din yung SEC na I can ask them questions if you cannot answer the questions of a major stockholder.
SEC.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, so, are you
hold
addressing
on.
this now?
Mr. Chair.
Wait, Attorney Tolentino. Para ho maging orderly yung proceeding at saka maintindihan ho natin yung issues. The Honorable Nograles.
So, Section 114 of the Revised Corporation Code, which embodies the rules for corporation soul, since gusto naman po nila tayong turuan tungkol sa corporation soul, explicitly requires that at least 2/3 of the membership will give its written consent or has voted to incorporate at a duly convened meeting of the body. SEC, tama po ba, Mr. Chair?
Yes. SEC, please answer the question.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
And even jurisprudence, Iglesia Evangelista versus Bishop Lazaro, GR number 184088, dated July 6, 2010, states, even an amendment as well requires 2/3 of its membership, the vote or the written consent of its membership that convenes for that sole purpose.
SEC.
Correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Dito po, makikita natin sa pag-file pa lang nila ng Certificate of Amendment of Articles, that's why I highlighted it. It says 2/3 of the members of the corporation, which is not membership and violative of Section 114. Is this correct, Mr. Chair, to SEC?
That appears to be the case, Mr. Chair.
Yes. But of course, alam naman po natin mandatory, may mga submissions yan ng documents and you have to, SEC has to, if nagbigay sila ng documents, kailangan naman pong, di ba, i-approve.
Yes.
Right? So, can we show na lang the next slide?
Next slide, please.
So, they have a trustee certificate which is notarized, no? Sworn. There's an oath there. Sabi naman po na contradictory to the first page of the submission, this is attached to the 2006 amendment. Meron naman silang 2/3 of the members in a special meeting called for that purpose and jointly held on November 8, 2006. So I've been looking through the website. Wala mo naman po kasing pictures, walang anything. So if SMNI na lang po can furnish us a copy of a photo or proof of the notice. Kasi 2006, hindi pa pwede yung mga Zoom pag board meetings. So dapat, di ba, nakita yan na magkasama-sama sila on November 8, specifically, especially for that they called a meeting. I'm really hoping SMNI would be able to submit such documents or proof. Because if not, hindi po ba to SEC, this is grounds for cancellation because
SEC.
of fraud?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Any document that appears to be fraudulent or false or contains false statement submitted in support of filing of articles of incorporation or any amendment that constitutes fraud in the procurement and may be cancelled, Mr. Chair.
So mukhang kahit yung SEC, binibigyan nila ng iba-ibang requirements, I mean, the documents na contradictory to each other. The
Yes.
first statement on the first page of the GIS, and mas malala, if they cannot prove this, Mr. Chair, this is a criminal offense for perjury because this is under oath. The same as the document submitted to us na iba po ang sinubmit sa atin sa Kongreso, na nalaman po natin today, and sa SEC, di po, fraud po yun. So, to clarify lang po then with SEC, para malaman po natin within the purview of SEC anong definition ng fraud. Meron po kasi akong nabasang administrative case number 03-15-173 on Nature's Garden Park versus Enforcement and Investor Protection Department, where you defined fraud within the purview of SEC to be fraud as actual or constructive. And in the same case, you mentioned that any material statement made by an incorporator in its articles of incorporation or amendment that turns out to be falsehood would be considered fraudulent. And again, yung fraudulent na to, regardless of the incorporator's intent or knowledge of such falsehood, correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
That's
SEC.
correct, Mr. Chair. Correct, Mr. Chair.
Essentially, pag mag-good faith na naman na argument, no, that they didn't know, they didn't comply, it's still going to fall as fraud within the definition of SEC. Correct?
SEC.
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
And
you.
fraud, in submission nga, even if they say good faith, is a ground to cancel such amendment or certificate of registration. Correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
Paano mangyayari?
Okay.
Proceed.
May I ask, and with this cancellation, no, may I ask lang, NTC naman po, Mr. Chair.
Please proceed.
For NTC, it is within the power of the NTC to issue certificate of public convenience for operation of communications of radio and television broadcasting system, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And corollary to this power and to your regulatory powers, does NTC also have the power to suspend such certificate, license, or permits?
Sagot. Proceed.
If the violations are directly in violation of the CPC that the NTC issued, then the NTC may consider, Your Honor, but we take into account also the other jurisprudences in light of this. Thank you.
Essentially, Mr. Chair, we just want to clarify from NTC, if we see violations, now that we're seeing several violations within especially the franchise of Suarezog, and even if we dig deeper and see more violations, does NTC have the power to suspend while we're looking into violations at magkakaputukan po na lalabas po ang violations? Mr. Chair.
Your Honor, we will be evaluating very carefully the resolutions and whatever that this committee may come up with too, and we take into account also the existing mandate that we have and the corresponding jurisprudence.
Yes,
Mr.
simply
Chair.
that's why our resolution is to urge NTC, no? So, to enlighten lang everyone, I suppose, let's run through na lang po the violations. First, di ba, yung ground naman po ng pag-urge natin sa NTC dahil may violations sila sa franchise. Klaro naman po, kanina pa, that we have, next slide please, on their franchise, which is RA 11422. Section 4 was violated, diba? Not to use the station or facilities for dissemination or of deliberately false information or willful misrepresentation to the detriment of the public interest. Okay, next slide. Last meeting, of course, we established this with this whole shift of the controlling interest, no? And again, this would hit another provision in their franchise, which is on the next slide, Section 10. which we have established that there is no prior approval on the transfer of the controlling interest. And then, that's the first sentence of Section 10. The next slide, please. There's also a violation on the requirement to report within 60 days from the transfer of the controlling interest. So, punta tayo sa, mukhang ngayon, dahil sa nakita natin, no, that the latest GIS statement that they submitted to us is different. The one, 2021 po ba yun? 2021 GIS submitted to us on the repertorial requirement is different from the one that they submitted to SEC. Mukhang ngayon may violation na rin po sa Section 12. Which, if I may direct this committee lang to Section 12 on the repertorial requirements, on the third paragraph, actually, the second paragraph, the annual report shall include an update on the rollout, development, operation, or expansion of business, audited financial statements, latest general information sheet officially submitted to SEC. So, bakit po iba ang sinubmit sa atin at iba ang official sinubmit po nila sa SEC? Certification of the NTC on the status of its permits and operations, and an update on the dispersal of ownership undertaking if applicable. The next paragraph, the repertorial compliance certificate issued by Congress shall be required before an application for permit, certificate, or any equivalent thereof is accepted by the NTC. So ngayon, mukhang pumasok na meron na rin pong violation ng Section 12. Pero hindi pa po tayo tapos. Like we showed earlier, last hearing, next slide please, lalabas ko po ulit na lang yung pie chart. That essentially, 53.46% is the executive pastor, Phoebus Holdings is 46.22%, Phoebus Holdings naman, about 97% is owned by executive pastor na, diba, noong 2022 naman, na-establish natin na si pastor po ang talagang may control naman. So, equivalently, may 98.37% na share talaga si executive pastor. So, but makikita po natin na ang cooperative na wala rin po doon sa kanilang franchise na ginawa nila to comply after 29 years of existence ay 0.19 lang po. Ang layo-layo ng 30% requirement nila to offer the public sa dispersal of ownership clause nila. And they only did this 2 years ago, after 29 years of existence, Mr. Chair. Di ba sinabi po naman, Mr. Chair, nila that they are complying and may good faith na naman. Pero questionable na gusto pala nila comply. 2 years ago lang nila kinumply after 29 years of existence. Medyo, di ba, Mr. Chair, nakakapagduda. Di ba? But even with that, we'll show the next slide. So, dahil hindi umabot sa 30%, meron violation on Section 11. Okay. More than even the franchise, nakikita natin tuloy-tuloy yung mga violations nila. Even with the Constitution, next slide please. Because we've established that there's monopoly. On Article 12, Section 19, the state shall regulate or prohibit monopolies when public interest so requires. No combinations in restraint of trade or unfair competition shall be allowed. Next slide. Hindi lang isa na violation on the highest law of the land, which is the Constitution, pati rin po ang Section 11, Article 16, that Congress shall regulate or prohibit monopolies in commercial mass media. Na mukhang tinatamaan na rin po na kailangan natin din tingnan to. Kaya nga, di ba, nakikita natin may mga violations. Not even with the Constitution. Let's also go to the KBP Broadcast Code, which they only withdrew their membership on December 4, 2023. So they cannot now wash their hands and say that all other violations that they did prior to that does not apply to them. So next slide. Article 1 of the KBP Broadcast Code on Section 3, Fairness and Objectivity. News report shall be fair, factual, and objective. Okay. Next slide. Meron din on Section 4 on news sources. The only news that can be attributed to a source shall be aired. News must be clearly identified. You know, there are violations here na naklaro naman, di ba, na Mr. Chair, correct, na umamin naman po na may mga violations at hindi nag-comply at hindi na-verify. Tama po, Mr. Chair. Not just Section 4, the next slide. Meron pa pong personal attacks na bawal po, na nalabas po naman nila Honorable Manuel and Honorable Castro kanina po. Next slide. Meron din Article 5 naman kung sinasabi nila nagkakamali. When a mistake has been broadcast, it must be acknowledged and rectified as soon as possible. At ngayon lang sila nagsasabi ng sorry dahil nag-iimbestiga po tayo. Parang, bakit ganun po, di ba? Meron din, Article 13 ng KBP Broadcast Code. So, persons who regularly go on air shall be required to obtain accreditation. Okay, some of the SMNI hosts were not KBP accredited. Correct, Mr. Chair? Ako nga po, hindi nga po ako KBP accredited. Sinasabi na dati po akong co-host, kaya nga po umalis. Kasi mukhang may mga violations tayong nakita. So, I can attest to that veracity na some hosts really are not accredited. Okay. Then we have another article sa KBP Broadcast Code, Article 33, the Universal Ethical Standards. Ang dami po kaya sa KBP Broadcast Code. Hindi lang po yun. Mr. Chair, meron din po sa sarili nating house rules. Para maklaro lang kung bakit, di ba, na-cite for contempt. Pakita po natin ang next slide. For sure naman, when the Honorable Pimentel and the Honorable Abante moved to cite the two individuals for contempt, syempre mabigat yun sa loob. Pero trabaho din po natin na kailangan to maintain the integrity of this Honorable Committee of Congress ay pag may lumalabag sa batas at may lumalabag sa House rules natin, it is our duty to move for those, para hindi tayo niloloko. Ayun naman po din gusto natin, hindi tayo maloko po, di ba? And so, to emphasize that there are violations naman po talaga, which we cited, which the Honorable Congressman cited, which is Section 11C on refusal to answer any relevant inquiry, which today we also heard nga, yun naman, di ba? Yung dahilan kung bakit na-cite in contempt po. And also acting in a disrespectful manner towards any member of the committee or any misbehavior in the presence of the committee. And then, next slide. Today, now we see maybe there's a violation na rin with SEC that SEC should start looking into. Because merong hindi pagtutugma-tugma ang kanilang pagbibigay ng dokumento sa pag-apply ng kanilang amendment that will be detrimental now to their pinangahawakan nilang corporation sold sila. Kung mawalan sila ng certificate niyan, yung amendment to begin with, wala pala. Balik sila sa non-stock. So, mawawala yung argument nila. So, kailangan po ata talagang tingnan nila yan. And tingnan po rin ng SEC. Hindi lang po yung NTC na. No? And again, the next slide, babalik ko, na may violation din sa revised corporation code. So, in the event then that they find fraud in the amendment of AOI of the the Executive Kingdom of Jesus, no? Let's go back to the pie chart. Ano mangyayari? 'Di ba? Pareho pa rin yung numero. Kasi kung magiging non-stock sila, babalik sila sa Kingdom of Jesus na hindi corporation soul at mas malala kasi non-stock sila. 98.37% pa rin. Kasi essentially the 53.46 and the 44.91 ay magiging Kingdom of Jesus na non-stock. And obviously, 'di ba, monopolistic siya, which is violative of so many things. So, ngayon, with meron pa din po, next, na mukhang even the first hearing, we have established that meron ang pending administrative case filed against SMNI for red tagging and misusing of their platform. Tama po, Mr. Chair, sa NTC? There's a pending.
Please reply to the inquiry of the Honorable Logrado.
Yes, yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair. There's a pending case on admin case with the Suarasug with the NTC.
So essentially, that's why we are urging NTC to suspend muna habang nakikita natin na mukhang niloloko-loko tayo dito. It's summary lang para pakita po natin sa taong bayan ang mga violations that we have seen so far. Not just their franchise on Section 4, Section 10, Section 11, mukhang ngayon pati Section 12. Pati ang highest law of the land, ang Constitution natin, dalawang articles. Article 12 and Article 16. Even the KBP Broadcast Code, there's Article 1, Article 4, Article 5, Article 9, Article 30, Article 33. Sarili nating house rules din. Kasi hindi nila sinasabi yung totoo. Meron tayong Section 11C and 11E sa House Rules natin. At mukhang ngayon, kahit po sa Revised Corporation Code, mukhang ganon. So, we're simply really urging NTC na mukhang nagkakalokohan dito kasi may mga fraudulent aspects dito. Sino pa ba ang next natin makikitang manloloko? Sabi nga ni Attorney Mark, walang forever. Dahil po yun sa meron mga manloloko. At kung lolokohin ka, di ba, dapat hindi ka nagsistay sa isang toxic situation. So ito na mukhang may panloloko at naloloko tayo, kaya nga may house rules. At, di ba? At mukhang lumalabas pa konti-konti at nagda-dodge sila sa pagsasagot ng mga tanong pag hindi nila masagot, Mr. Chair. Ang nakakatakot ay sino pa ba ang lolokohin kasi nila? Papayag po ba tayo na mandato natin to protect the people from misinformation, to protect people from people who are violating the laws? Papayag po ba tayo? Sana yung NTC, tingnan nyo mabuti to, na habang tinitingnan at inuungkat lahat ng mga violations, not just the franchise, na makita nyo naman, paunti-unting may nakikita tayong mga violations. Sana po, ay suspindihin nyo muna habang tinitingnan natin lahat po ng mga violations na nangyayari. Yun lang naman po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, can I comment to that, Mr. Chair?
There's no question, though, Mr. Chair. But
Wala po siyang hinihinging sagot sa kanyang sinabi. Attorney.
But can I make a simple manifestation about, hindi about forever or non-forever. It's about
Okay,
the law.
I'll give you 1 minute. Go ahead.
It's about corporation soul, Mr. Chair. It's different from religious societies. Under the revised corporation code corporation soul is under section 108, 109 up to 113, Mr. Chair. Religious societies is section 114 of the revised corporation code. Maybe the beautiful Congresswoman.
huwag kang bumawi-bawi ngayon pagkatapos mo mag-post ng mga kung ano-ano tungkol sa akin na tawagin akong beautiful.
Mr. Chairman, I just want Attorney Tolentino
May
to
nagpapabango kasi
have a
siya.
proper decorum. You should address the chair. And you should not point out members of this committee in your manifestation or else.
Mr.
I have still a
that's
question
not-
with you after this. When it comes to investigation, mamaya, yung resolution sa investigation, sasagot ka pa doon. Kaya ayusin mo, baka agahan mo yan.
Sorry
Okay.
for that, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, kasi naman, like, klaro naman, di ba? I've not talked about anything personal. No. Let's not use this hearing to hit on personal. Sige, you can post on your page personal things, but let's not talk about this here because I'm not talking about it here naman. And just to rebut na lang po, SEC, that's why I said the case of the Iglesia Evangelista versus Bishop Lazaro. Because that's a case that talked about corporation sole and its amendment and applicable nga ang pagpa-file at applicable din sa kanila ang corporation sole ang 114 on religious societies of the 2/3 vote of membership. Correct po, Mr. Chair.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
So, he cannot say, again, a religious society nakasulat sa section 114 because I did my due diligence and I studied and came prepared to the hearing today. Nasanay. That there is an existing jurisprudence that explicitly already refers that section 114 on the 2/3 vote of the membership is applicable to amendments of corporations to amend it to become a corporation sole. Yun lang po, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.